Hi, everybody. It's the Horror Guys. We're back again with episode 195.
One more day till Halloween, Halloween,
Halloween,
Halloween.
Halloween.
One more day till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. But we're not going to be doing that movie this week.
No. We have done it before,
Yes.
and it's a really good one. Yes. So we are recording this the day before Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got your Halloween shopping all done?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all set. Well, anyway, I'm Kevin,
I'm Brian.
and we're going to talk about some horror movies.
As always, we've got 4 horror movies and a short. As usual, you can read the reviews over at horrorguys.com. While you're there, go over to horrorbulletin.com, sign up for our free weekly newsletter, where you'll get all the reviews in your email box, plus a couple of bonus movies. Hey, you know what's going to be the bonus movies this weekend?
They're going to be shiny, aren't they?
They're the Shining.
Shiny movies.
Yes, we got the 1980 version of The Shining and the 1997 movie, miniseries of The Shining.
And I think there's a lot of people don't realize there was a miniseries.
There was.
There was.
I mean, well, the 1980 Jack Nicholson movie is so iconic. A lot of people have, even if they saw it, they've kind of forgotten the TV show.
But it existed, and it was pretty darn good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So go over to horrorbulletin.com and read those 2 reviews and sign up for next week's thing while you're there, too.
Yeah.
So what do we got this week?
Well, nothing specifically Halloween themed, but they are horror movies. We have The Descent, Part 2, which came out in 2014. And we have The Guest Room, a brand new one this year, an international movie. And we also have another new one, but I mean, it's kind of retro. It's kind of weird the way they're doing this because it's VHS 99.
Well, they don't have VHSs anymore, so
They
they
don't.
kind of all take place in the past, even though it is a brand new 2022 movie.
But it's a brand new movie, so it's kind of a retro brand new. And also another brand new one called Barbarian from 2022.
Ooh, heard a lot about that one.
Lots of new stuff.
Yeah. All right, and of course, we got both the Shining movies over at horrorbulletin.com. All right, and of course, if you would like to support the show, go over to horrorguys.com/books and pick up a couple of our books.
Book or two. There's all kinds of horror history stuff and some short stories. And
You almost said horror history, didn't you?
history, yeah, historical things.
Yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff over there, as well as you can pick up all our reviews in paperback format at horrorguys.com/monthly. All right, so movies. What do we got first?
First up is The Descent, Part 2 from 2014.
Okay, we did part 1 a month or 2 ago, and we both liked that one a whole lot.
And I was kind of dreading this going in because it was straight to video. There were some production issues, and I think this slipped under our radar and a lot of people's radar because there was no theatrical release for it. And I was thinking, oh, straight to video. Ew. And the first one was so good. Well, this one was decent.
It wasn't bad for straight to video.
It was The Decent, Part 2.
The Decent.
And again, that was 2014. It was directed by John Harris, written by James McCarthy, Jay Blakeson, and James Watkins. It's got some of the same cast members. Stars Michael J. Reynolds, Shauna McDonald, and Jessica Williams. Runtime is 1 hour and 34 minutes, and there's a trailer on YouTube.
Okay, spoiler free, what happens?
Well, it's not quite as good as the first one, but it was a surprisingly good sequel. And like I mentioned, the production issues, it didn't get a theatrical release. And since we know there are monsters in the caves, we get to them right away. So the action does hit a bit sooner this time around.
The monsters were kind of a surprise in the previous one.
They're not a surprise. That was spoiled.
Things were going really badly before the monsters even showed up.
Yeah. Well, the cast is good, the effects are great, and they still manage to make caving look like not any fun at all. And for maximum enjoyment, you absolutely should see the first movie before seeing this one.
Yeah, I don't know that it's absolutely necessary. They do explain things.
For maximum
I would
enjoyment,
recommend it, yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more if you see them in order.
All right, well, somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains, an old guy in a tow truck almost hits a deer. Sarah Carter from the first film comes to his window for help, and credits roll.
She's back again.
Yeah. A few days after the first movie, rescue teams are searching for the missing women. Sheriff Vanes goes to visit Sarah in the hospital, but she's still in shock and sedated. She is now considered a suspect in the murder of the other 5 girls, since she was covered in blood that wasn't hers. Sarah doesn't remember any of what happened, and since the girls lied about their caving plan, the men are searching in the wrong place.
Yeah, that was a plot thing in the first one. The gals all thought, oh, this one in charge, she's got a plan, an itinerary that everybody knows about. No, we want to go to this new cave that nobody's ever gone to before and isn't on record.
Not a good plan.
Yeah.
Well, there's an old mine shaft in the basement of an old church, and the tow truck driver says that there's a whole uncharted system of caves down there that connect to it. The sheriff thinks that Sarah should go down and help search. Deputy Rios gets Sarah ready to go down to the cave. There's an old elevator. Elevator?
Elevator. Really old elevator.
How bad could it be? Well, they assemble 3 professional rescue people, 2 police, and Sarah.
And they do make it down. There's a little bit of tension. This is a mighty old rickety elevator.
Yeah. The ancient elevator doesn't kill them, and they eventually make it to the bottom. Dan is the leader of the rescue group, and they explore for a while. They have an audio scanner that picks up sounds down in the tunnels, and there's movement noises. That's got to be a survivor, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, they do find a dead body, and Sarah starts to remember, but now everyone thinks she may have murdered her friends. Sarah goes berserk and runs off, and everyone splits up to go looking for her.
Always a good idea to split up the party in a cave, in an unexplored cave.
Even if without the monsters, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, the sheriff is attacked, and he fires his gun, causing a cave-in that closes off the way they came in and traps them all inside. Didn't see that coming when I told him not to take the gun down there.
They warned him.
Kath gets trapped in a tight spot, and the others start digging. They soon figure out that rescuing her is hopeless and start looking for another way. But one of the creatures finds her first, but she still manages to escape.
Yep, out the side, basically.
Dan, Greg, and Rios find the boneyard that we saw in the previous film, and it's pretty obvious that Sarah didn't do all that. They find the lost video camera, also from the first film, and Sarah and Rios watch the creatures on the tape as one of them crawls up behind them. One of the creatures then kills Dan. Greg and Kath find one another. Going downhill quickly.
It does, yeah.
The sheriff finds Dan's mutilated body, and Greg is soon killed, and Kath finds herself hanging over a chasm, but she makes it through that, only to find out that there are monsters on both sides of the pit.
And the survivors are growing fewer and fewer.
Sarah and Rios have to go through a water-filled tunnel, and Rios is terrified. Rios records a final message on her phone, but Sarah says they can still get out.
Yeah, they still manage to do the claustrophobic feelings from the first film.
It doesn't have the focus that they did in the first one, but it's still there.
Yeah.
The sheriff figures out that he's not alone down here and has a brief fist fight with a creature, and turns out he's rescued by Juno from the first movie, who isn't as dead.
A total surprise.
Who isn't as dead as we were led to believe in the first movie. She steals his flashlight and runs away, but he follows along. Sarah and Rios beat one of the monsters to death with a crampon and a hairpin.
It was a big hairpin.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Sarah and Rios then run into the sheriff and Juno, and the two fight. Remember what happened at the end of the first movie, which I'm not going to spoil right now, but yeah.
Yeah.
They have history. Juno calms down and says she thinks she knows the way out. The creatures regularly go to the surface to hunt, and she couldn't get out because she had no light, plus her leg was injured. It's only been a couple of days.
Yeah, it has.
Sarah refuses to follow Juno, so the sheriff handcuffs her to his arm. That was brilliant.
Doesn't work out so well for him.
3 minutes later, someone gets his arm cut off and falls to his death. The 3 women find the tunnel to the outside that Sarah used last time, but there are creatures everywhere. One of the things drags a big stag down into the tunnel and calls all the others for food. Something goes wrong, and the 3 have to fight, and Juno dies again.
We're more sure of it this time.
Dozens of the blind cave creatures close in around them, and Sarah distracts them from Rios, who climbs up out of the tunnel and gets away. Yay, survivor!
Yay!
But then she's beaten over the head and killed by the tow truck guy, who drags her body back to the hole to feed the people down there. Oh.
He was in on it.
Yeah, he was.
Or, works to keep them appeased so they don't come after him or something. Yeah.
Yeah, these two films really do make caving look like fun, don't they?
No, they don't.
This took place in a pitch-black, dark cave system, and yet we could still see everything that was happening. Too many newer films get carried away with the darkness.
We have complained about that recently.
So many times.
Yeah, this one is good with visibility.
People are always saying, oh, you need a newer TV. Why? Just make your films lighter.
And again, it was all set pieces this time, too. That was impressive.
Yeah.
The caves were all fake.
It looked real.
They looked so realistic.
Again, straight to video, you'd expect it to be lower budget, but yet it all looked really good.
Yeah, it did.
Well, in the first film, the monsters didn't show up until about halfway through. Here, they show up pretty quickly. It doesn't have quite the claustrophobic atmosphere of the first film, as the monsters here are the focus, not the caving. But seeing Juno turn up again was a big surprise. Yes, she's in the credits, but way down along with the other dead girls, like flashback footage, so there was no way to tell that was coming.
Yeah.
And the final scene was also a surprise. What a downer. Overall, it wasn't as good as the first one, but neither of us hated it.
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. Which takes us to our next film.
Which we also quite enjoyed.
The Guest Room from 2022, also called The Room. How many movies named The Room have come out in the past couple of years?
Quite a few.
Yeah. Just do a search for The Guest Room.
Hard narrowing it down.
Directed by Stefano Lodovici, written by him and Francesco Agostini and Filippo Gilli. Stars Guido Caprino, Camilla Filippi, and Eduardo Pesci.
And if you couldn't tell by the names, this
Might
is
be
an
just a little bit Italian.
international film.
Hour and 41 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. Yeah, okay, so spoiler free. You're probably going to have theories watching this and trying to figure out what's really going on, but you probably won't be correct. It's really well acted, really well produced, and has a very good, cool story along with an intriguing wrap-up.
Yeah, this isn't what I expected, and it's weird.
Yeah, I liked it, though.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. We're probably not going to read through this whole one because chances are you haven't seen it, so we'll cut this off partway through to avoid some serious spoilers. But tell us part of it.
Well, we start out with a woman in her wedding dress crying in the rain. She's ready to jump out of a high window of her building to kill herself when the bell rings and snaps her out of it. Someone's at the door. Well, she's dripping wet and a real mess, but she answers the door. He's
Giulio.
Giulio? Was it pronounced Giulio? He says he booked a room with Stella. And she says they haven't rented in a long time. The website will refund him, and she tries to get rid of him. Well, he really has no place else to go, and he's persistent. He's been out of the country for a while, and he's just returning. He says Stella's husband, Sandro, will be coming by to say hello, and that perks her right up, and credits roll.
Well, that was a lot before the credits even.
Yeah. Well, she lets him in and shows him the bedroom, and she looks at her suicide note, closes the window, and puts on normal clothes. Sandro used to like new people, meeting new people, and Stella doesn't, she explains to the guy. So when he left, she stopped renting the room. And yet, here's Guido. Guido?
Giulio.
Giulio. It's spelled funny, and I couldn't remember how to pronounce it. Okay, Giulio. Well, Giulio finds a pair of Stella's underwear in his room, and he eagerly starts sniffing them. Yeah. Well, he then notices holes in the wall and peeks through. Whatever he sees makes him angry. He puts on Stella's husband's clothes and fixes himself some lunch, even after Stella said no. Stella mentions that her son lives with Sandro and won't be joining them for breakfast. And they finally talk. He has been to Japan, but came back to visit his dead parents. Giulio is very pushy about what he wants, and Stella's grumpy, but she goes along with most of it. She doesn't care enough to argue. She's just kind of apathetic.
If you were suicidal an hour ago, if the guy wants to make a sandwich, what do you really care?
Yeah. Well, Sandro comes to the door. He's come home because of her suicide text messages. Sandro doesn't know anything about Giulio. Did you get a reservation number? He stopped advertising the room months ago. So this guy just showed up and lied and got himself in the door. Sandro says he doesn't have their son. So what happened to him? Well, are we going to stop there, or are we going to keep spoiling? Because something unexpected happens.
Yeah, that's a good place to stop.
I think so, because
Yeah.
it starts getting weird at that point.
It's definitely twisty.
Weirder.
It's
Yeah.
twisty, and it's not what you think.
It's so twisty. Yeah, I couldn't figure this one out until they started explaining things.
Well, we both had multiple theories about what was going on, and they repeatedly got smashed down as the story continued to evolve. It's very twisty and unpredictable, in that once you think you know what's going on, things change. It's not like those M. Shyamalan films that, there's one big twist at the end that's all like, oh, that's what it meant.
No, it
But
just
no, there's all kinds of weird
keeps
stuff going on
evolving.
here.
Yeah.
A couple of times, characters mentioned that Stella killed herself in the past tense, and we weren't quite sure if that was a clue or a translation mistake. And it just wasn't what we were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
The performances were good, the set was excellent, and the best part is, we didn't see what was coming until the very end. It was surprising all the way through. Very cool.
Yes, it was.
Did we see a short film?
We did. We saw Life and Death of a Living Dead, which was also a new one this year. Mm-hmm. Directed by
Gautier Babé, I'm going to call it.
Gautier Babé. And written by Gautier Babé.
Stars Alizée Lenevert, Jacques Vanel. 13
No.
13 minutes, 13 seconds, and you can watch this one on YouTube. What happens?
A woman mourns her dead lover. She walks out into the misty field and watches him slowly climb out of the grave. Well, she refuses to help, and it takes him a long time. He gets stuck halfway and he can't get out. And she has to listen to him wailing all night long. So she goes out to shoot him, but she just can't bring herself to do it. And he's out there stuck in the hole for days. Will she come around eventually?
And you figure this is her boyfriend or husband or something, and eventually she's going to give up and dig him up, and they're going to be happily ever after, or beat him to death and kill him or something, but we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know, yeah.
It's very atmospheric, and it looks really good. The zombie makeup is good, and it's a very interesting little situation. It's slow, with really no action, but it's still very interesting as you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I liked this one a lot.
And once it's done, I'm still not quite sure what happened.
And there's no dialogue.
A lot of shorts are that way for international viewing.
Yep. And this one is. It could be anywhere.
Mm-hmm. But it's in a creepy place.
Yes,
somewhere.
A creepy, shadowy, dark place.
Speaking of creepy, shadowy, dark places, the next up is VHS 99 from 2022. Directed by Flying Lotus, Maggie Levin, and Tyler McIntyre. I would like my professional name now to be Flying Lotus. Written by Zoe Cooper, Flying Lotus, and Chris Lee Hill. Stars Verona Blue, Dashiell Derrickson, and Tybee Diskin. Tybee Diskin. There's a good one, too.
That is.
Hour and 49 minutes, trailer in the show notes. And yes, even though it says it's 1999, it's actually a brand new film. This is a new retro movie.
Yeah.
Spoiler-free.
Well, this was a little hit and miss for the horror guys, with some of the tales resonating with us and some of them not so much. There are ghosts and vengeance and demons and some unexpected things. And we liked it more than disliked it, and the wraparound was especially very cool.
Yeah. All right, well, like with the previous installments of the series, this is an anthology of short tales. We start out with a goofy animation with little green toy soldiers in a battle, and we watch a bunch of clips from things that have been recorded over, probably multiple times. It's like you're watching an old videotape that's been used and reused over and over.
Right.
All right, so we have done VHS already, the original, and I think we have VHS 2 is coming soon. We haven't done that one yet. We've watched it. We haven't actually talked about it. That'll be coming next week, probably.
Uh-huh.
And then there was another one called VHS Viral that we haven't even seen yet.
Right.
And this is the fourth one, yes.
Uh-huh.
So they're all basically anthologies tied together loosely with being on a videotape at some point. Well, the first one, what's the first one?
Well, it's called Shredding. An annoying group of teens decides to break into The Colony, which was a former arts collective. Back in 1996, a fire broke out there which claimed 4 lives. It was the 4 members of the band Bitch Cat, who all died in the fire. And we get old video of Bitch Cat being interviewed, and they are very 80s.
Oh, very, very.
Oh, yeah. And their music was actually really good. I liked their music.
Did you look to see if you could find it for real?
I didn't.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I bet it was just made up for the movie, but it might be available. I didn't even think of that. So one of the guys really isn't into going to the place where the 4 girls died, but he goes along with the others, and they soon find signs that someone may have been living down there.
Homeless.
We don't want to spoil this. It's brand new.
Oh.
We can't spoil these individual stories.
You can spoil this one. It kind of sucks.
Stuff happens. Yeah, but others, that was our opinion.
All right.
Okay,
well, bad things happen.
This was one of our least favorites because we weren't rooting for these people.
Okay. Very quickly then. The second one is called Suicide Bid. Lily records a video after going to a sorority earlier in the day. Helen comes in and says restricting herself to one sorority application is a suicide bid.
Yeah, kind of putting all your eggs in one basket and hoping and praying that they pick you.
Well, next thing we know, she's in the middle of a hazing ritual that goes pick her. Badly.
Yeah.
The third segment is called Ozzy's Dungeon, and that's a TV show where teams do stupid stunts with lots of slime and nonsense. And you've seen these kind of shows.
This is like a horrible Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, with an obstacle course.
Yeah, with people getting hurt for real. a little more violent but it's that same kind of thing where they get slimed and they're, it's supposed to be a fun competition until somebody, gets hurt. And then it gets worse from there.
Yeah. If a finalist wins the game, they get any wish they want. Yeah, the game begins and one kid gets a serious leg injury. The audience family members want Ozzy to stop the game, but he doesn't. Uh-oh. And Ozzy here is played by Stephen Ogg, which you've seen in 1,000 things.
And he's really good in here. He's always good, but
he's like the only name brand actor I could recognize out of this movie.
Yeah.
The fourth episode is called The Gawkers, and there's a couple of kids that record prank videos. They record pervy videos of women around the neighborhood, and one of the guys gets hired for a tech job across the street and installs a webcam on the woman across the street's computer. Hilarity ensues.
Yeah, he does a little manipulation where it's an always-on camera.
Yeah.
Which she doesn't know about.
The fifth segment is called To Hell and Back.
This was my favorite.
Mine too, I think. A group of people record themselves explaining why they have volunteered to be the vessel for Lord Ukuban.
Yeah, it's almost like a documentary.
Yeah, it's a cult. So they plan on calling Ukuban at midnight when the veil between worlds is at its thinnest. The ritual commences, and a demon appears, but it's the wrong one. In the process of banishing it, the cameraman and some of the others vanish too and find themselves in a demonic hellscape.
So now they need to get back. And hilarity ensues.
Yeah. Well, the wraparound, it's not really a wraparound story. It's just, filler kind of stuff. But those little green soldiers need a full-length feature film.
Yeah, his narration of them is pretty awesome.
Well, Shredding, the first segment, was long and too predictable. Suicide Bid was really good.
Yes, it was.
Ozzy's Dungeon was spectacularly weird.
Nickelodeon.
The Gawkers ended well, but took way too long to get there. And To Hell and Back was pretty good, since we don't actually get to explore hell very often. It's very hit and miss, as most anthologies go. I'm going to go thumbs up on Suicide Bid, Ozzy's Dungeon, and To Hell and Back, but the other two kind of were a waste.
I kind of liked Gawkers because of how it ended.
All right.
That redeemed itself at the end. The first one, yeah, the Shredders was
very, very predictable.
Yeah, I thought so, and the people are so annoying. I had a hard time rooting for them.
The problem with shows like VHS, modern anthologies, is we watch an awful lot of shorts. We watch at least one short every week, sometimes more.
Yeah,
and we have gotten maybe a little
jaded
about some of these shorts. Yes,
a little bit.
It takes a good bit to impress us now.
Yeah, but it still happens.
Yeah. Yeah. What else has impressed us lately?
Barbarian from 2022, a brand new one as well.
Written and directed by Zach Kreger, stars Georgina Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, from It.
Yeah.
And Justin Long. I'm a Mac. Okay, Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers, yeah.
1 hour, 42 minutes, trailer in the show notes. And you just I can't get on any of the Facebook groups without seeing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of posts about this. So we wanted to see it.
Yeah, we did, and we liked it.
Spoiler free.
A young woman rents a house to stay in while she's working in town. And we find out right away there's been an apparent mistake. There's already a guy there who already also rented it. And then things happen because we're not going to spoil it. This movie is really great. Excellent cast, good story, and directed in a unique way that puts things together. You got to check this one out for sure.
Watch the trailer for this one. Mm-hmm. It gives absolutely nothing away.
Yeah, it's clever how
the stuff that we just said is in the trailer, but you don't know what it's about, really. Yeah. Could it be Satanists? Could it be a monster? Could it be space aliens? Could it be a serial killer? Could it be a cult? Could it be... You don't know.
We don't know.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
And we didn't know until things started happening.
Go into this one blind.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway...
We're not going to spoil it very much then.
Honestly, I don't think we need to say anything more than what the spoiler-free said.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, well, the commentary here is, we live about an hour away from Detroit, where this was filmed, and this film was pretty realistic, believe it or not, for some of the areas of town there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some depictions of the police that are pretty much spot on as well, and not terribly complimentary.
No, it wasn't.
We live in Flint, and, well... This is kind of what you expect here, too.
No, I don't think so. I think more so Detroit.
Yeah, okay.
They're even more overwhelmed in Detroit than in Flint.
Well, maybe. Well, the acting was excellent, and the gore, what there is of it, is also very good. The story all mostly makes sense, although we couldn't figure out one or two little points at the end.
Mm-hmm.
As far as loose ends are concerned, there's one character that we see right in the middle that didn't seem to get much of a backstory. We should have gotten more of him.
They kind of pop back and forth a bit.
Character named Frank, yes. Well, the film starts one way and goes completely off the rails after a while. The second half has some vibes from some movies that we really like.
Boy, you're just really beating around the bush.
Yeah, we're not really saying anything here. This one you need to see surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want to read the full review with spoilers and synopsis and all the details, horrorguys.com, and put it in the search bar. You can read the whole thing there. But yeah, I'm going to put this on the short list for best horror film of 2022 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it's number one yet because I haven't really looked over the list, but it's way up there. It's really good.
And Bill Skarsgård's really a versatile actor. I mean, playing it and then he's played such a variety of characters. And yeah, just impressed with his abilities to be different people.
Justin Long is actually very good here, too.
And Justin Long, yeah, he's always good.
He's kind of a scumbag, but he's kind of not. So, yeah, it's just an interesting character.
And Georgina Campbell was
She did great,
in this.
Yeah. Actually, there's only really 4 characters that we could name, and they're all good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty small cast.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is our somewhat abbreviated show. This is the problem with showing all these new movies that we don't want to spoil too much. It's a short episode.
We get a short podcast.
Well, you can fill up your time by reading the reviews of The Shinings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.